Hello and welcome to All In TBT. I'm here with Tremmell Darden Sr. of the Money Team. Thank you so much for coming on, Tremmell.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me.
So, you played your college ball at Niagara. You had some really good years there. You averaged around 17 points per game both years. You started every game you played at Niagara. What was that experience like for you?
Oh, it was awesome. I went there as an unrecruited person, basically. And I was fortunate by God's grace to play for a coach who actually believed in me more than I knew. And he gave me an opportunity to play from day one. And it was definitely a great career in college that I don't think many people expected, but Coach did, Coach Mahalik. So I'm thankful for him all the time for giving me that opportunity to play.
He's coach for Hofstra these days.
Yes, he's at Hofstra, and he knows his basketball. He knows how to get the best out of you, and it's evident by the track record. When he went to Niagara, there was a struggling team, and he didn't have no losing seasons his whole 15 years there. And then he's been in Hofstra, and they've had success, high-level success there. So he's great at what he does. He's great at evaluating good talent, but he always stressed character. One thing Coach really stressed was character. And he got good guys who were high-character guys who could play the game at a high level and love the game. And I appreciate them for that.
So this year your pro season was cut short due to the pandemic. But how have you been able to stay in shape given that you only got to play around 5 games this year?
Well, leading up to that season, I was home for a while training. So when I got there, I was in shape at the facility that I train at Impact Basketball here in Las Vegas. So I was ready to go. It was unfortunate that I did only get 5 games. But in that small sample size, when you're somebody at my age, you don't really get too many opportunities. So I was happy for the opportunity that I had to go out there and still show I could play and perform at a high level. Although our season got cut short due to, this unprecedented event that we have, I was still happy that I did get to show in that small sample size that I could still go and play at a high level.
So you did make a reference to your age, and I have to ask, you're 38 now. You've been playing pro basketball for a very long time. So what keeps you playing? What is it? Just the love of the game? What has you still playing ball at 38 years old?
I still love the game. I still love the grind. I still love playing. I still love being in the gym, and still the process of trying to get better. I know a lot of people believe, once you get to a certain age, especially in professional sports, you're no longer able to do something. So in addition to me loving the grind, I still want to show that age doesn't determine, Father Time is undefeated, and I know that. The ball stops bouncing for everybody, but it stops bouncing when God says it stops bouncing, not when everybody else assumes, oh, he's this age, so he can't do it no more. And I feel like years ago, people thought I was done. When I left Olympiacos, people thought I was done, and I wasn't. When you play in certain situations, you do what the team needs you to do to be successful. And when you sacrifice yourself sometimes, it doesn't get respected and or understood that why you was doing what you were doing. So now you're labeled as old. You're labeled as you can't do it anymore.
But in reality, you were just trying to do what you were supposed to do for the team to succeed the most.
Exactly. At that level, I was all about trying to win this EuroLeague title. I was all about, doing whatever the team needed me to do to win. And that didn't necessarily mean me having to come out there and show that I can produce high-level numbers every single time. When I needed to produce those numbers, I would have. But at times, people wonder, well, why isn't he doing this? Why isn't he doing that? And then it becomes, oh, he can't play anymore. He can't move anymore. He can't do what he's normally used to doing. And I believe, as I said, the ball stops bouncing when God says it stops bouncing, not when people say, oh, well, he's this age, so he can't do it anymore. So I still love to play. I'm still learning. Um, part of me still doing this was I wanted to show that the Achilles injury that I had in 2017 wasn't the end of my career either. So I've
Definitely
just
not
been
an easy
fortunate.
injury to come back from.
No, it's not. It's not. Especially when you're an older player. At that time when it happened, I was 30, 34, 35. So for real, that was supposed to be the death blow for me. And as I said, God determines when the ball stops bouncing for me. And as long as I still enjoy going through the process, I'm not saying the process gets harder the older you get. But if you don't love it, then it's no use to do it. And I'm still able to do it. I'm still able to have an impact both on and off the court. And I'll continue to do so until God tells me I'm done.
So you have played in a lot of different places throughout your career. I think if my count was right, I could have been off. You've won championships in about 5 or 6 different countries. So how do you you're constantly adjusting to new situations, not only in terms of basketball, but just in terms of living. So how do you deal with that?
You got to be open-minded. You have to come to it with an open mind and open heart from the jump. And you learn that early on when you come from an American college coming over here in Europe. You got to adjust to the way that the game is taught and the culture that you're in. And if you're not willing to make the proper adjustments needed to be successful in that situation, whether it's learning the style of play that particular country has, because each country has a style of play that they like. If you're not willing and open to learn from their culture, both, first of all, the culture of how they live and the way that they go about their business, and then second, the way that they teach the game, then you're not going to make the adjustments as an American, and you won't last over in Europe very long.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got over there, I was open to how things were done. It's a process and it's an adjustment, especially that first year. But I was fortunate enough to have a veteran player who went to UNLV when I was in high school. So I knew who he was. His name was Mark Dickel. I knew who he was, but I didn't know him personally. Then I ended up, my rookie year, that was my point guard. And he helped me a lot, understanding how life would be over here. But I was open to learning, just new things and new cultures. And that's been real beneficial in making the proper adjustments that are needed in each country that I've been in to be successful.
So you obviously you've probably experienced a lot of things with younger players just through your career. So if you were talking to a young hooper right now, maybe a college kid, high school kid, who has pro aspirations, what would you tell them they need to do to have a long career like you've had? What do you need to do in terms of your your body, and then other things mentally, stuff like that?
A few things. First, I would tell them, understand why you're playing the game. When I say that, once you become a pro, you have to make the decision, am I playing for the money, to make as much money as I possibly can, the business side, or am I playing to play at the highest level possible for me? And when I say that, if you're playing for the highest level possible, you'll take less money to get in a better situation to show you what you can do. And those steps will take you to the highest level possible to get the most exposure possible to possibly get to the highest level, which is the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
All of us Americans that we grew up thinking pro as the NBA. It wasn't until my sophomore year of college that I even heard about playing overseas. I thought about playing overseas. Everything for me was NBA and NBA. And that's how we grow up here. But once that didn't happen, I still in my head believed I could play in the NBA. So my moves was made to play at the highest level possible, to get the most exposure possible, to show I can play in that league. And when that wasn't what it was for me, it was EuroLeague. I knew the EuroLeague was the second highest level outside of the NBA. So if the NBA wasn't what God had for me, then I was going to play high level Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that, so I would take less money. I would not necessarily go for the situation where I wanted to be in a situation where we was able to win, but I was also able to show that I can be valuable and contribute to this team.
Mm-hmm.
And, during that climb, it's sometimes you're going to be the man of the team,
Yeah.
where you're the main focal point. And then it's in that process, when you get to the highest level possible, you got to be able to know what you need to do to stay on that team and be effective. So I would tell, that's the first thing I would say. You got to, as a young person, you got to determine, what are you trying to do? Are you playing to play at the highest level? Or are you playing to make the most money possible? Because the money will take you to any country where they're going to throw the bag at you. Like, they always say, go get the bag.
Secure the bag.
Secure the bag. So if that's your main goal, you'll go to whatever country that's going to throw the most money at you. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the highest level of competition. And that doesn't mean you're going to get the most exposure to get to the highest level, unless you just that dominant and you're dominating so much that they have no choice but to see you. The second thing I would say is, you got to know what you do well. You have to know what you do well, because that's where your money's going to come from. So if you are a scorer, you got to score. Because the team that's bringing you in and they think you're a scorer, that's what they're paying you for, to score. If you are a big man and you're a rebounder and a defender and catch lobs, you do that at the highest level possible. Know what you do well. And that's where your bread and butter is going to be. That's where you're going to make your money. And then the third thing I will say is, listen to as many people that want to give you the wisdom as possible. Nutrition is very big. Since I've been going to Impact, I've been at Impact for 13 years training.
So you've
Until then,
learned a lot from there and just been training there for a very long time.
Yes, until then, my first 4 years as a pro, I didn't have a trainer. I didn't even know trainers existed like that. I was doing what I did from college, what my college coaches did, and things that I did on my own. That's what I did my first 4 years as a pro. And then I stumbled in upon Impact, Joe Abunassar, and I've been there since. But there, it taught me nutrition, how important nutrition is to lift, sport-specific lifting, taking care of your body. And then I learned from when I first got there, a lot of the pros and the vets were the champions: Chauncey Billups, Tayshaun Prince, T. Lou, Jermaine O'Neal, Al Harrington. Those are the guys that I learned under. And learning how to play basketball, winning basketball. So taking care of yourself is very, very important. And, with the stretching, post-practice, stretching is very important. Eating proper foods and really concentrating on trying to eat what's the best thing to help you recover as quick as possible. And then all of the investments that you make in your body with the Game Ready and the Normatec and the Quello and the rollers and the guns.
A lot of things that are available. It's hard to kind of tell, like, what's the best, what's a little bit.
It's so many tools that they have now that when I started, none of these things were available. The rollers and the guns. So all you could do back then was stretch and keep it moving. But now you have, as I said, you have Game Readies. You have, they cost a lot, but if you want to be your best, you want to invest in those things, those tools to help your body stay strong. Because a lot of times overseas, you might not be in a situation where you have all of those things ready available for you. So you want to make sure you buy them yourself and have them ready available for you. So if you want to ice with the Game Ready, if you want to use the Quello, if you want to use a Normatec to recover quicker, in addition to the nutrition, you have all those things available. You have the gun to give yourself a self-massage. You have the Hypervolt and everything that is possibly out there to help yourself. You want to invest in that, because ultimately it's about you putting the best product out for yourself as possible.
So this isn't your first go around with the TBT. You played a while back for Team Slam, and now you're on the money team sponsored by Floyd Mayweather, which must be really cool for you guys. But so how did you kind of get involved the first time, and how did you find yourself on the money team this year?
So it's interesting. The first time I was on the team, couple of my ex-teammates were participating in it. So they brought me in. They wanted me to come and play on the team. So I didn't actually get to play because I was going to miss the first weekend due to family engagements that I had, and I
Okay.
was going to meet them the second weekend, and we ended up losing on that first weekend. So I didn't actually get to participate. I was
Okay.
getting ready. I was preparing. This year, one of the guys I trained with, Jordan Crawford, and I've played against overseas. He asked me to do it last year, and I forgot that he asked me because at the time I was dealing with some little nagging injuries, and so this year when he told me, I said, you know what, I apologize for last year. Yes, I definitely will participate, especially if I'm able to. So when he told me about it, I was like, yeah, I'm in, and uh, whatever the team needs, I'm here to do because I'm ultimately I'm about trying to win. I'm not doing this to just. It's about winning for me,
Mm-hmm.
and the same mentality that I have when I approach my seasons. That's what I've had thus far approaching this. Focus, kind of locked in to getting myself in the best shape possible and being ready to help contribute the best way possible. And
So,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
all good. So, how do you you're talking about contributing. What do you see as your role on the money team this year? How do you make sure that you guys achieve that final goal of that winning that $1 million prize?
It's just doing whatever's needed that day. I say that because when you're in a good team with a lot of quality guys, your role might change based on what is needed for that game. So, I'm always going to bring defense. That's one thing you're going to get from me is I'm competing hard on the defensive end, taking each matchup as hard as I possibly can and going at it hard, playing good defense, bringing leadership. When you get older, that's one thing, regardless if you feel like you kind of you leaned on to bring some experience to the team. So I'm bringing some experience. When you've been doing it as long as I have, you've had different situations you've been a part of and different experiences you can share with whoever that wants to get the information. And as I said, you got to put the ball in the basket, but you got to get stops. So if we could get stops at a high level and make that transition to the other side, hopefully we'll be able to move the ball and get this victory, each victory at a time. Because in a tournament like this, you can't look too far ahead.
Mm-hmm.
like all the cliches, no, you got to handle your business at that time for that day, at that moment. And as I said, it might change. One day I might be required to try to defend the best player for however many minutes coach want me to. And then one game I might be required to post up, take advantage of some low post opportunities. It just depends. And whatever's needed, that's what I'm gonna try to bring. And as a veteran, you can kind of see what's needed. You can see, okay, we're going in this direction. Okay, I might need to do this right now. Okay, I might need such and such. So, hey, we might need you to do this. Tell somebody that. Because one thing experience gives you sometimes in some situations is respect, that your word carries weight. And when you've had success and you're still doing it, it's easy to reach people who are younger than you, whether they know you or not, because, they know you're trying to tell them something that isn't to hurt them, but to help them and the overall situation.
Mm-hmm. So that's all I've got for you. Thank you so much for coming on today. I'm really excited to watch you guys, the money team, as you look to take home that $1 million prize. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. Really appreciate you taking the time out to have me on the show, and just looking forward to just bringing intensity, effort, and positive impact on both my teammates and people watching.
All right.